Well, howdy there. Bob here with Odin's Lock. And I'm going to go over a quick, simple way to master key just your standard residential style locks. Say you have apartments and they all use Kwikset or Schlage. I'm particularly working with the Kwikset system today, but we'll just do this real quick. You know, every now and then you get a call from someone that says, hey, I got several doors on my house or my apartment unit or whatever that I need re-keyed, and I need a key to its own individual key, and I need an extra master key that will fit it, and maybe fit multiple ones. And so what you do is, whichever one is the master, that'd be your main one that you carry with whatever door system you're using. Let me get it over here and I'll get this started here. So what we got today is so with these two keys, I've got rid of some of the formality of pulling the lock out, pulling the pins out. So we have key number 1 is 42213, key number 2 is 24632, and so that's what I'm going with today. And it's just basically, I'm going to show how with you can use apps, you know, showing pinhead here. That's I got my numbers plugged in there in the top and the bottom, key number 1, key number 2, and it automatically will tell you what your bidding is going to be. Let's see if I can get that on the screen here. And I've got 2 cameras going here, so I can kind of show what I'm doing here from different angles. So that's kind of what you can do. And so basically with master keying, you can't go smaller than the smallest depth. So you're going to have to like determine, so like with this particular application here, of the two, the first cut's going to be the 2, and then a 2, and then a 2, and then a 1, and then a 2. That'll be your bottom pins, and that's what your Apple show too. So that'll be your bottom pins, because you can't go any lower than the lowest cut, or you know, the most shallow cut. So for this particular application, the app is going to show which master pin you're going to use, and so it'll be the 2, 2, 4, 2, 1. And that's just because that's what it shows, and I'll show you why. You know, because like with Kwikset, you're going to go in increments of, you'll within whatever the cut will be. If the depth is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or even a 7, in Kwikset you're going to go in 23 thousandths increments, where you know you can get down to, like with this app I'm using here, you can go to 5 thousandths increment, 3 thousandths, or your standard bidding, which would be, your standard bidding will say what the number will be. So the number 2 wafer will be a 46 thousandths, and so you can do when you do like this, it'll show 3 thousandths increments, it'll show the 45 thousandths. If you're doing 5 thousandths increments, say if you're using a pin kit that's 5 thousand increments, it shows you which one is going to go in 5 thousand increments. So, and I'll show this on a different camera. For this, I'm just going to do it as in the normal Kwikset increments. So when you pin them up, and it's going to be, one key will be more likely will have more of these will want to fall out. So what we'll do is we'll just go on ahead and drop in all the number 2s we need. So I'll do the number 2 cuts. We'll just do the number 2 pins, and sometimes some of them will be low, some of them will be high. It depends on where we're at on this. So actually, I think that's I do have a couple of these that are in the wrong spot. I can kind of tell just by looking at what I'm doing here if it's going to be right or wrong. But let me see here. That should be correct. That'd be correct. Actually, see, 2, 2, 1. I'm already losing track here. So my third cut will be 4. Let me get back on track here. So my bottom pin is going to be 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. Show they're all correct on there. So then when I get into the next one, then that's where it's going to be high and low. So those will all be good, and I'll have a number 2. Let me see, I'm going to use a number, this particular one, What confuses me is I just went through SFIC, so it's everything's from tip to bow, and this one here is from bow to tip. So yeah, so 22212, and that's where you got to kind of watch this stuff. And those will all be good up until there. And I don't like this one. I don't know why. Let me try a different one. That should be correct. So what you'll sometimes have to do is pull the key out, see which one it is it's riding on. So that'll be high, low. Okay, and then let me change that one. 1, 2. There we go. Now I'm getting back on track. And that's a 1, 2. Alright, so what we can do here is none of them should be high no matter what you do on this. None of them should be high. So they're all at least flush, and then they'll drop below. So then your master bitting will be 2, 2. And so sometimes you gotta have to knock them down a little bit. So 2, 2. To be able to put this in there. 2, 2, 4. And the other way you can do it is you can use it, and I'm going to show you with calipers. You can do your calipers in there and just drop it in there. So that's a 124 thousandths. So that should be, actually, I did that wrong. Yep. Oh, okay, yep. See how that looks. That should be right. Alright, and then 2 and then 1. Might have to chop this video just a little bit if I have something messed up that I deal with. And these ones are really bitty. So that should work in that cylinder. So for this, we will drop it in there and let's see what happens. So I'm going to drop that in there. And then I'm in like Flint. So perfect. I don't have the clip on the back, so I gotta be careful. Perfect. Now what happens, that's 2 different bittings. So what could happen is you may have to go from a different top pin, the 180 thousandths to the 160 thousandths. So now both of these different keys work. So that is mastered. And that's pretty much how it goes. I don't know why I'm showing that. Let me see. So that would be, yeah. I need to readjust my calipers there, but that's how you do that, and that's pretty much what I did right there. So, well, so 2, 2, 4, 2, 1. That's your master pins, and let me get a closer look at these wafers. That's how small they are. They are itty bitty. And that will move this other camera over here. They are itty bitty. But that's pretty much how that works, and you can see just from looking at those. And so that's pretty much what you run into, and that's how you master key these. So put that up there. I didn't really want to do a long video, just a quick one, but some of these apps, there's Pinhead, that's one I use. You got different systems you can do. You got pin charts you can do, and it shows you all the different ones you can do. And so 5 pin, 6 pin, 7 pin, not there's Kwikset 7 pin. There might be out there, I've not seen it. But your max, which is your max adjacent cuts spec, is the maximum depth that you can have next to each other. So you don't want any more than 5 spaces, 5 depths. So you don't want a 1 and a 7 right next to each other, or 1 and a 6. Now 1 and a 4, that's about as max as you want to get. So, and that's your depth. So, you know, with your pins that you have, you want to make sure that you're, you know, you don't have too much of a high or low, because what happens is if you have a 1 and a 6 next to each other, that's 5 at max. That 6 could eat into your number 1. So that's kind of how that works. So, all right, well, that's all I really want to go over. And you know, Kwikset unfortunately doesn't really put the stamping. And it's fortunate and unfortunate. It's fortunate for Locksmith. You know, you're gonna have to have the key gates, as you can sight read them. But it also it's dangerous. You know, if someone's at a bar and they're trying to, if they're a scammer trying to mess with your stuff, you know, they can see people. Sometimes people throw their keys out on the counter, and if it has a bitting on it, like Schleck, sometimes they put the bitting on there. sometimes they'll use a blind code, which looks like a serial number, and that you can't identify, you know, what the bitting is. But if you can sight read, you can do that. I had my last video was interchangeable core. I had some issues with some of the bitting stuff on that interchangeable core. Let me get this paperwork here. When you do interchangeable core, you have each pin stack, when you decode them, should equal out to 23. And I had 2 of them that equaled out to 21. So either something's weird, you know, like maybe they, you know, I did decode the key that I had, and it showed it being, you know, 1 cut off, but it worked perfect. So I don't know, it's possible that some of those 25 thousandths wafers might have popped out, but I didn't see any laying around. So what I'm going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to cut a key. I'm going to go ahead and put the 25 thousandths in there to give me the number 2. That would be a number 2 pin. So that would give me the 23 that I need, and I'll cut a key with it as a 21 or as a 23, and that way I got both the bases covered. But you know, also I do have the control key, which works fine, so I was able to come up with that. I'm going to go ahead and pin that up some other time, video down the road. I'm not even worrying about that right now, but I did order some key blanks and the cores. And also I was going to mention your I don't have it on my camera screen here, but I had the best card on here, and in the 1200 it has a TB keyway. On my pack of punch, or my HPC punch, I don't have TB keyway capability on my card. In fact, let me see if I can find my card. I have 2 of these punch machines. It didn't have TB on there, so it's like for what you can do. So I can't even, I mean, technically you can try to cut it, and I did cut them, and it was just a few thousandths off, but it was further off than I wanted to deal with. And so when you look at your punch cards, you want to make sure that your system will handle it. And so the HPC 1200 would do TB, as you can see right there, but it still didn't hold it as well as I wanted. It kind of moved a little bit. Now the framing too, it cuts it dead on. I mean, dead money. It was right on the money where they cut the key perfectly. But that's kind of how it goes. Sometimes it's good to have more than one way to code cut a key. You know, I don't have the fancy key machines to do everything automatically. You know, I still stick with the manual stuff. But you know, I have 2 code machines there. I have a punch there and a punch here. I had depth and space keys, you know, for best I can do also. If I really wanted to use a duplicator that I could trust, you know. I used that pack of punch that had interchangeable cord dies on it, but I hardly ever use it, and it's so iffy on if it even works. So what I wound up doing was I traded that off so I could have SC1, you know, Schleg cutting capability with my pack of punch. And I have 2 different pack of punches, one for Kwikset and one for Schleg. But anyways, I didn't really mean to get all crazy off on the tangents. But hey, thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see more stuff like this, just let me know. Talk to you later. Bye bye.